America, rise from your slumber. Rise from your lethargy. Like a petulant, punky, snot-nosed teenager, it's time to get out of bed and go to school. Because the war gear, the armament, and the weapons of war that are being fostered and pumped into your tiny little hamlet, your large city, your county garage is meant to hurt you. And this isn't me talking. I mean, I'm not some kind of conspiracy theorist kook. This is the biggest newspaper in the nation, the New York Times. That's the title of their article. War gear. War gear. W-A-R. War gear flows to police departments. How much of it? Well, let's see. Tens of thousands of those pesky, fully automatic machine guns. You know, the same one that you're not allowed to own because you're not trustworthy enough. Because you're one of them hillbillies just might go and shoot up the bank or something. After you ship out of that old jug. Well, let's be exact. 93,763 of those in 223 and 308. Fully automatic machine gun weapons. Did I say that right? Yes. Fully automatic. That means pull the trigger once and it's till the magazine runs out. But fear not, because we also distributed almost 200,000 of those. Many of them that hold 100 rounds. So it's and to make sure that we've got enough of those and the ammo to go with it, 533 aircraft capable of dropping off more in the event that we need to. Because this isn't the wilds of Afghanistan or the mountains of Laos. This is the suburbs of Indiana or California or the wilds of the Ozarks. Because them rednecks down there, gee. 435 MRAPs to be distributed in little towns with as few as 10 and 11,000 people. I mean, you know, that mine-resistant, ambush-protected, that's what MRAP stands for, vehicle. You know, the one that you can't shoot through with a 308. Not even the glass. Forget the door. You know, the one with the V-bottomed hull, so in case you, an American citizen, plant an IED underneath the sewer grate, the guys inside have nothing to worry about. M16s, grenade launchers, hundreds upon hundreds of silencers. Well, you know this article comes from the New York Times because they're not silencers. There's no such thing. They're called suppressors. You pencil neck punk. And apparently you've never seen one or heard one except in the movies. I read about it in a book where you probably read that he attached it to the front of a revolver. Guess what? It doesn't work. thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pieces of camouflage. Thousands and thousands of night vision pieces. 50,000 pieces. Night vision, binoculars, goggles, sights. Let's see. What are you going to do with a sight? It goes on a rifle, and when you look down it, you get to see two different pieces, the back one and the front one. And if you line those two up properly, whoever's at the other end of that sight gets a hole in them. But these are in Milwaukee, and these are in Memphis and Murfreesboro, and these are in Boston and New York, and these are in West Plains, and my goodness, why do they need all that? Them drug dealers got lots of guns. They're dangerous crowd. We got ourselves some 435 armored vehicles and 435 MRAPs. In case them dag-nabbed meth dealers go crazy on us. Huh. Them fellers, they're dangerous. Got automatic pea shooters and everything. But the truth is that violent crime has been dropping across the board in the United States at a stunning and staggering rate. But in Louisiana, they're using MRAPs and black masks over their faces. And they've got all blacked out clothes. And when they come up to the door, they stack up. You know what stack up means? That means they all line up along the side of the building. And you get one guy who goes, "Police!" Boom! In comes the door. And they race in. And they've all got their guns pointed in different directions. Turns out they're there for a liquor inspection. Let me see that license, boy. We're the new revenuers. Anybody want a drink? Or in Florida, you know, shh, fellas, we're stacking up. Ready? Ready to blow the door, Jed? Police! Boom! Throwing a couple of flashbangs. Pow, pow! All right, who in here's got the barber license? Think I'm making it up? In 2010, Florida officers in SWAT gear with guns drawn carried out raids on barber shops that led to charges of barbering without a license. For real. The Orange County Sheriff's Office and the state licensing agency. They raided all these barber shops. Deputies rushed into businesses, guns drawn, wearing masks and vests, and yelling obscenities and threats of violence. During these raids, plaintiffs were arbitrarily detained, searched, the premises ransacked, left in total disarray. Property, including doors, windows, cabinets, mirrors, and furniture, damaged and destroyed. 'Cause you're barbering without a license, boy! I mean, how much more asininely ridiculous can we get? Maybe we should just wait until they kick in your front door and say, "You know, pal, your grass is awful high." Gonna read them there nightclubs. 'Cause we're the law. Oh, well, that's right. Up in New York, it's, yo, we're the law. Whatever we say, that is the law. In California, it's a little bit more like, dude, it's the law. When they asked Nina's police chief. Now, Nina is the mighty metropolis of Nina. This is Nina, Wisconsin. I think their population is 22,000. They haven't had a murder in 5 years. Nina, the mighty, the teeming, the disease-ridden, drug-ridden, criminality of Nina is legendary the world over. Everyone knows of Nina, Wisconsin. It's right next to Lake Nina, where polluters may gather. But they got themselves a 9-foot-tall armored truck. We got ourselves a couple of M16s sent right over here from Afghanistan. In fact, this one's still got a little Taliban blood on it. Tens of thousands of SWAT teams deploy every year. Tens of thousands. Where's all the crime? It's been so effective that there isn't anymore. So now they're down to raiding barber shops and liquor stores looking for licensing. And to accomplish that mighty task, in the mighty metropolis of Nina, they have a mine-resistant armored truck. $25,000 folks in Nina. 25,000. All of them potentially violent criminals. But Sheriff, says Shay, it just seems like ramping up a police department for a problem that we don't have. I don't get it. We don't have crime here. In fact, this is not what I was looking for when I moved here, says Shay. That my children would view their local police officer as an M16 toting SWAT apparel wearing officer. Somebody has to be the first one to say, hey, why are we doing this? Says William Pollnow, the city councilman, who was the only one who opposed getting a mine-resistant armored patrol vehicle with turrets at the top to hold a .50 caliber fully automatic machine gun. But Kevin Wilkinson, the police chief from the mighty crime-ridden metropolis of Nina, he came out and he said, well, I understand your concerns. And, even I thought it was a little big at first. But our old armored car can't withstand high-powered gunfire. He says, I don't like it. I wish it were the way when I was a kid. But the possibility of violence, however remote, that means we got to take precautions. We're not going to go out there as officer friendly with no body armor and just a handgun and say, good enough. Well, with all due respect, Mr. Wilkinson, having an MRAP is a far cry from officer friendly with a little body armor and a pistol. You see, what you're doing is you're using the tactic that most pieces of human excrement use when they try to put up what's called a straw man argument. And instead of pointing to the glaringly obvious and saying, you're right, folks, we really don't need this monstrosity here, you compare it to an officer friendly in body armor and a handgun who says, good enough, Sarge, I'm on my way. There's a big difference, sir. And officer friendly with a bulletproof vest, which was probably supplied by a bake sale from the ladies in town, which is, by the way, a very good idea. I mean, that is how a community is supposed to operate. Not by the Pentagon giving you M16s, night vision goggles, MRAPs, Humvees, aircraft, thousands of magazines to go along with the thousands of machine guns, to go along with the hundreds of mine-resistant armored vehicles. I mean, the closest that the mighty metropolis of Neenah has come to an IED is little Charlie Smith, who pulled an M80 out of a pack and carefully lit the end of it on a punk. And he threw it out in the middle of the road around July 3rd, and it went pow in the middle of the street. Since the 1980s, SWAT teams have been terrorizing and demonizing and killing and assaulting American citizens at a stunning and astounding rate. For the record, are you aware that we have had more American citizens killed since 9/11 by SWAT teams and law enforcement than we have lost soldiers in both Afghanistan and Iraq? And those boys out there were kitted up. Most police departments these days in their recruiting videos show a bunch of guys running around, sneaking, climbing through the woods in all their SWAT gear, crawling on the ground, just like the military. Storming into houses, throwing in flashbangs, smoke grenades. Pop, 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 pop. That's what you get to do if you're in law enforcement now, boy. Hee-yaw! Gotta love them guns, baby. Who'd have thunk a couple fellas like us could have so much fun? Of course, we believe in apple pie and maw, Budweiser. No, we ain't got nothing against them citizens, but I'll tell you what. We see one with a gun, we got to worry for our safety. Officer safety, that's what it's all about. That comes first. Well, but officer, the number of people killed as officers in the line of duty has been dramatically falling too. Yeah, but you wouldn't say that if you was the one getting hit. Richland County Sheriff on his website, he features the SWAT team dressed in black with guns drawn, flanking an armored vehicle that looks like a tank and has a mounted .50 caliber gun. Richland County, South Carolina. Yo! The spokesman for the department says, the vehicle allows the department to stay in step with the criminals who are arming themselves more heavily every day. Police officers take it to schools and community events where it's a conversation starter. All of a sudden, we start relationships with people. Excuse me while I punch that guy square in the face. Ronald Teachman, he's the police chief in South Bend, Indiana. Arguably a larger hub of crime than Neenah, the mighty metropolis, or Richland County, South Carolina. Now, Ronald Teachman, he's the police chief of a law enforcement office that has quite a few more officers than both of those two other organizations combined. And he says, when they offered him a mind-resistant vehicle, listen, guys, I just got to say no. I mean, I go to schools too. Except when I go to schools, I bring green eggs and ham. And all of a sudden, he starts relationships with people. Now, there are two kinds of relationships in the world. There's the kind of relationship that walks up when I introduce myself and I say, hi, my name is Mike, how are you? And I stick out my hand and you shake it and we say, oh, I'm fine, how are you? Then there's a kind of relationship that begins when I walk up and I shove a gun in your mouth. And you say, this article in the New York Times, it doesn't really describe the entire crux of the problem. But I'm stunned to see it come from the New York Times because, well, the New York Times is not exactly known as a bastion of conservative thought. 38 states have silencers. Hey, pencil neck. Those aren't silencers. They're called suppressors because there's no such thing as silencing a weapon, okay? And there's a report on Zero Hedge that kind of clarifies things for you a little bit. I've also posted that on our website. It says, across America, police departments are quietly preparing for war. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to ask you, do you believe that we're well past the crossroads now? I mean, you know, how do you put the genie back in the bottle, right? I mean, is the horse left the barn? Is the cat outside the door? And what is it that you precisely do when you come to the realization that the genie's out the bottle, the cat's out the door, the horse has left the barn? I can tell you what it's going to take. But if I tell you what it's going to take on radio, this will be my last broadcast. I can tell you what's going to happen. A lot of Americans are going to die a bloody, awful death at the hands of our own government and our own people. Our fellow countrymen. That's what you're going to die at the hands of, folks. You can pretend it's not so. But you're a fool. And those who say, our military won't turn against us, and those who say, but our law enforcement have sworn an oath. I remind you that Samuel Adams said to us in 1776, if you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude more than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsel nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hand which feeds you. And may your chains sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. Because the nation and the world are full of characters who to keep their job will love wealth better than liberty. Good day, America. God bless.